Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of Sporting160EN today. This is a special edition of our podcast as we are joined by a friend of ours who is a Portistas, Bruno. I'll pass it off to him in a second, but this is a special podcast because we're going to, mainly focus on the recent Clásico between Sporting and Porto. Unfortunately for us, unfortunately for Bruno, Porto won 2-1. And I welcome Bruno. Bruno, how you doing today, man?
What's going on, guys? Thank you for the invite.
No problem, man. How would you think of the? Well, let me pass it up to Nando real quick. Nando, how are you today, man?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks, man. How are you guys?
Been better.
I know. Trying to stay positive.
Same shit.
Always.
Bruno, what did you think of the game?
Actually, I thought it was a good game. Tactically speaking, I thought it was a very good game. A lot of excitement, a lot of opportunities that were squandered by both sides. I thought both teams took it to one another. First Porto, then Sporting, then back to Porto. Fortunately for me, my team won. I think all in all, it was a good result, a very important result because of what happened the game before. So overall, I think I thought it was a good game tactically. Honestly, tactically speaking, I thought it was very good.
Yeah, to me, honestly, I can't lie. I was pleasantly surprised by some of the attacking play that Sporting showed in this game. This game kind of has a history of being, flat, the 0-0 type of game where no one really wants to make a move. So that's kind of what I was expecting again, but that really wasn't what this game was. Both sides, definitely had their chances. Nando, what did you think of the game, man?
Man, I think you both kind of hit it right on the target there. I think overall, given the fact that history has shown a very 0-0, 1-0, very low-scoring games, especially between us two over the years, I think it was way more exciting. It had a lot more flair. Obviously, Porto came away with the victory. We're going to talk about that here in a second. Was very impressed with Sporting's ability to react to Porto's, first goal. And then especially the second half when we started putting on some good pressure there for, I'd say, 15, 20 minutes. And I don't know how we didn't come away with a goal. But Porto showed, how they have a lot more options, won the game. Simple as that, I think. But overall, it was a good game to watch with not too many controversial moments or nothing that really, I think we'll all agree, don't stand out too bad. But, it just sucks that we're unable to capitalize on those opportunities we had.
Yeah, man, a lot of squandered chances. And, at the end of the day, whatever this, means to you or whatever this doesn't mean to you or whatever you had, your expectations were, what you thought, the reality of the situation is this is now really officially a two-horse race for the title and second place. Benfica 42 points, Porto 38, Famalicão 27, Sporting 26, several others soon after that. So, I mean, this would have brought Sporting within 6 points of Porto. Still a tough ask, but, now it's, 9? Or no, it's more than that. It's 12. Yeah, it's 12. It was a 6-point swing. So that's the theoretical real end of the Champions League pursuit for Sporting. Obviously, they're still going to have to continue fighting to scrap a Europa League spot. But let's just get here now more into the game. Specifically, I'm just going to run through the lineups and then kind of, touch on some moments here. So I'll do the home side first. In goal for Sporting was Luis Maximiano, Acuna at left back, Mathieu, Coates, Rostovsky at right back, Vieto on the left, Balassi on the right, Doumbia, Wendell, and Bruno Fernandes in the midfield, and Luis Felipe up top. And for Porto, Marchesín in goal, Corona, Pep, Marcano, Alex Telles on the back line, Danilo Pereira, and Matias Uribe in the midfield, Otavio on the right, Nakajima on the left, but honestly floated a lot towards the center too. and Morega and Suarez up top. Right off the bat, Porto capitalized on their first chance, really. A great ball by Corona over the top, and a pretty strange, weird, perfect touch by Morega. Max was really committed and couldn't go back, and it just sort of trickled into the goal. Nando, Max kind of looks questionable on that play. In your eyes, what do you think of that?
I think I even tweeted it when it happened, man. But I think that was a beautiful pass over the top. I think that Max found himself in literally no man's land. But rather than blame him, I really blame those center backs, man. They were nowhere to be found. I haven't seen them get eaten that quickly by a forward and either ever or in a long, long time. I mean, Marega just comes through and he's off. You know what I mean? And that, they're not even remotely close to him. And then Max almost like he's in shock, right? He's in shock that he doesn't think that ball is going to be placed so perfectly that he's going to come through. I don't even know if the touch is obviously
played
really good.
Perfectly between Mathieu, Kowats, and Rostovsky.
Yeah, because
they're in a triangle, and he drops it right in between the triangle, right in the middle.
Yeah, Rostovsky is even the one that gets close enough to him or tries to make a run at him at the end there. But Mateus and Kowats are just completely jogging. That whole pass through, they're jogging. They're completely beaten. The one touch on the ball, is really nice. But I don't know. I don't know if that's 50%.
That's not even. That's not a finish. That touch. I don't think that touch is a finish. I think 100% not a finish.
No, I don't even think that.
What do you think?
That's what I'm saying. I think the touch.
Finish, or do you think that's a touch?
More lucky. Yeah, I think it came out a little bit more lucky than it even did skillful. He wasn't even expecting to probably get that ball around the goalkeeper there. But there it is. Great pass, facts, horrible defending, and I'm not going to blame Max for it. I'm not. That's just me, man. I'm not.
Okay. Yeah. So that brings us to really another. Let me throw it back to Bruno. Are there any other moments in the first half, Bruno, that really stood out to you from the Porto perspective? I guess either positively or negatively.
Yes. First of all, let's start with the lineup. I didn't agree with the lineup. Marcano is by far Porto's fourth best center back, and he continues to start, and I don't understand why. And the stubbornness of Sergio Conceição, if he does not change rapidly, it could cost him the league if it hasn't cost him already. The other guy that I questioned in the lineup was Danilo. I think he's been in bad form for the last couple of months. He doesn't seem like he's 100%. And I just think that the chemistry with Uribe, Nakajima, and Otavio at the moment in the middle is so much superior than with Danilo in the middle. And I think that was one big issue. And I think as we talk about the game, I'll explain to you why. As for the goal was great. Great pass by Corona. Very, very lucky by Marega. And then after that, I think after the goal happened, I think the biggest adjustment that Porto had to do was that Wendell was dropping way deep to receive the balls from the center backs from Sporting. And Porto didn't have an answer. And I think that has a lot to do with Danilo. Danilo was getting often beat or watching a lot of Bruno Fernandes. And there were guys that were making those runs. And Uribe was having to cover a lot of space. And so did Nakajima, had to cover a lot of space till eventually he was subbed out because he was completely burnt out. I think at the end of the first half, Porto was very lucky to just give up one goal. I don't think we really did much in the first half, to be honest, after the goal. It was kind of just we fell asleep. We gave Sporting the game, or I don't know if we gave Sporting the game. I think more has to be credited. Silas made that adjustment. with Wendell dropping, and Wendell had a very good game. And if anyone says opposite of that, they just clearly don't watch soccer enough to understand the sport. The guy he had a fantastic game, but you know they just couldn't capitalize on their opportunities.
Yeah, man. I definitely agree that the response from Sporting was surprising,
Positive.
surprisingly positive. To be honest, for me at least. And I thought Acuna down the left wing was actually fantastic. He created several chances in that half. Vieto squandered, I think, at least three golden opportunities that I can remember to score. He did not hit the target once. Amazingly, Sporting had 15 shots in this game, only one on target, Acuna's goal. That is not pinpoint accuracy. that is the opposite. That is very poor finishing, and that'll be the difference in games like this. You mentioned that you didn't like the inclusions of Danilo and Marcano in the starting lineup. For the next game, Pep's obviously hurt, most likely, and Marcano, I believe, is suspended. So you are going to get your wish for new center backs. Who would you have preferred to see start in the middle over Danilo?
Honestly, for over Danilo.
Yeah, didn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, with Marcano, I mean, honestly, Late is doing exceptionally well, but so is Mavimba. So one or the other, take your pick. If you're the coach, you have the luxury of taking your pick between two players that are in superb form. And Pep has been, I think, kind of hinting at it in the press that, hey, the best Portuguese center back right now is Diogo Leite. Well, dude, you can't get much of that's complete promotion from a guy that it seems like he wants to pass the torch to Diogo Leite from Pep. But Mabimba's fine. As for Danilo, I would have dropped Uribe. You could have put Sergio Oliveira in the middle with Nakajima and Otavio, or you could have just played Uribe, Otavio, and Nakajima in the middle, and you could have just went that way. That would have been fine too. I think those were that's the midfield right now. I just don't see how Danilo is going to get into this lineup, and I get what Porto's trying to do. They're without question they want to play him. They want to see if they can sell him. I think if they get a good offer right now in the window, in the January window, they're going to look to sell him. But this is definitely they're looking to really cash in, hopefully after the Euro. But that's very risky because if he continues his form, I don't see how he's going to be the starter for the national team. And then what? You squander an opportunity to sell again. So that's just my opinion.
Cool. We appreciate good opinions here. Nando here next, or I guess next and last critical event here of the first half is the equalizer from Sporting that comes pretty close to the stroke of halftime, maybe 43rd minute, I believe.
Yeah.
It's a pretty sketchy pass out of the back from Marchesín. Wendell heads it forward to Luis Felipe, who's onside. He is onside. After that, he's coming back. It kind of looks sketchy, but he's onside. Then he passes it to Vieto. Vieto slips Acuna through, and Acuna with a nice finish. What did you think of that goal? And honestly, what did you think of Acuna's performance overall in this game?
Yeah, so I think Acuna was by far our best man. He absolutely killed that left side. He did both well defensively and offensively. He showed exactly why Portuguese sometimes lose their patience with him because, he can pull out a performance like this and then have moments where he's just more lackluster or a little bit undecisive, or if not even undecisive, very, single-minded and focuses on himself. I know he once or twice lost the ball there in the corner rather than passing it back, just trying to dribble and do too much himself. But overall, I think that, in my opinion, he was the man of the match for Sporting. I think that whole play, obviously, I think that was a horrible play from the back from Porto's goalkeeper. Very lackluster, just kind of hoping that, players aren't really paying attention on Sporting to go ahead and start playing for the back, because if you're going to play that ball from the back like that, I think you start right off to your defenders, if anything, off to the right-hand side there and keep it moving. But with that being said, bad pass from him, Sporting took over, and I think Sporting showed when they play simple like that and quickly, they could be at their best. Just very precise, few touches on the ball. Like you said, to Luis Felipe to Vieto, who's shown a great capability of dribbling, passing, lacks the finishing touch, but that's simple. And then Acuna just blasts one. He's not over there wasting time and trying to figure out how he's going to place that in there. He just, unleashes one. So from Sporting's end, very, very impressed with how they, hit that counter and kept it moving. And I think Acuna was by far our best man of the match.
Yeah, I agree with you. I definitely think he was the man of the match. Also, I guess let's jump right into the second half here. Our first key moment is honestly so bizarre. It's the ball, the chance that Vieto has on his left foot. He hits it off the near side of the post. It comes back, almost hits him in the face, and Marchesín puts his hand up, doesn't know much about it, doesn't hit his hand either, and goes straight through. At the same time that this is happening, a fireman is on the field taking a flare off the pitch, and the ball could have easily ricocheted and hit the fireman who was literally on the field while the play was happening. Nando, and I want to hear both of you. What do you think of this incident? What's going on here?
So in perspective to the guy trying to grab the torcha, right?
Yeah.
Yes, something's got to give, right? He's probably gonna get fined. Or I don't know. You can't.
The ball passed a foot away from him.
That's what I'm saying. You can't just casually decide to ignore play and walk on the field to pick that up. I mean, obviously there's going to be a dead ball moment or a moment that Porto clears the ball, and then you go do that. So I can't believe he did that.
Sorry to interrupt. Wasn't that the play where they actually hit the post?
It hit the post and it ricocheted back. And
I think he thought that the ball went out.
I'm
trying to actually look at it right now. So
that's my opinion. I think he thought that the ball went out.
Or he shot it over. Yeah, I think he just shot it over, but it hit the post. Yeah, Vieto really sliced through.
Yeah, because he only starts to make. So you know what? He makes a move. Watching it now, he makes a move towards picking up that forget whatever Tarsha, before Vieto even kicks the ball. He's already probably half a foot or leg in the field. So he had his mind made. He's like, whatever, I'm gonna go grab this thing. Forget it. Which is kind of crazy. Again, what are you doing, bro? In terms of the play itself, I mean, that's just a perfect example of when Sporting does things simple like that. I mean, Bruno Fernandes, don't need to talk about how good he is. He gets the ball on the left. He's passing it into Vieto in stride. Vieto shows that he's got perfect touch on the ball. He kind of gets lucky a little bit there with the ball carrying through through that guy's legs. And then he can't finish. And that begins the next 10 minutes or so to 15 minutes of Sporting's opportunities and kind of onslaught on Porto. If anything, I thought that Vieto was going to try to pass the ball inside or back to Luis Felipe, who was right at the edge of the what do you call it, the big box. But he took a shot, hits the post, and there begins the missed opportunities. Que no marca soft.
Yeah, so right after this span here, Sporting had a series of chances. The Vieto off the post, the Luis Felipe header near post went just wide. And then Bruno Fernandes also had a run across the top of the box where he sliced through it. And then Vieto had a one-on-one with the keeper, put it wide, and then he had a one that was cut back to him on his left foot, and he put that over. So that's honestly 5 clear-cut chances for Sporting in this span of probably 20 minutes, between 45 and 65 minutes in the second half. Bruno, what did you think about the start of the second half here? What was going through your mind?
I felt that Silas felt that he could tie the game. and he was going to do everything possible in his power to get his team to tie the game. And frankly, he came very close. Um, he wasn't far off at all. I think Porto felt that they needed to absorb the power, absorb the pressure, and they were just kind of calculating and see what was going on. I think a lot of credit. I mean, Sergio Conceição and the Porto nation gets a lot. He gets very criticized sometimes because of his substitutions and his lineups and whatnot. But I do have to give him some props and recognizing that when Nakajima was done physically, the 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 key substitution was when he put in Luis Diaz. Once Luis Diaz came in and he moved Otavio from the outside into the middle, that is where Wendell or Bruno Fernandes weren't able to drop and get the balls anymore, and they had to start building going through the outside. And Luis Diaz just owned Ristovski. And eventually he owned them so bad that they subbed Ristovski off and they put in Camacho, which was much quicker, and that still didn't stop um, Porto from getting to the goal. And that's when you saw eventually the second goal, and then and eventually Maxi made two very good saves on Luis Diaz. One coming out at his feet, and then the other one palming it away.
Yeah, he
And then
actually
there was
got kneed in the head on one of them. He came out, just risked it all, and I think he got kneed in the head, right?
he did. I mean, obviously it was unintentional
Yeah,
because,
yeah, no, yeah, unintentional. It was a great save, and like yeah, great save.
but I mean, and he came out the way you're supposed to come out, not with your feet. He came out with your body, head first. Um, and that's the risk that you take sometimes. As a goalkeeper, you get hit in the head on plays like that. But I think he was a major factor for you guys. I think the center backs had no more energy; they couldn't keep up with the speed of Porto's striking force, in particular Luis Diaz. Um, Luis Diaz definitely was the difference maker, the game changer. Once he came in, Sporting just really stopped attacking. They couldn't get balls. They couldn't build data. They couldn't build through the middle anymore.
All right, so I'm going to ask a question to both of you. I'm going to start with Bruno. Bruno, what would you have been cool with a point in this game? If say it finished 1-1, which honestly, if it finished 1-1, I think that would have been a just result. What would you have felt if the game finished 1-1? Do you think that would have been fair? Would you have been happy with it?
Um, would have it been fair? Probably. Would have I been happy? Clearly not. Especially with those two opportunities that Luis Diaz had. I was hoping he'd put one of those away. And then don't forget. I don't want to just talk about those two plays. There were a couple of half chances there as well, especially that one that Suarez tried to backheel in the in the somewhere in the six or close to the
Yeah, it
six.
became like a goal line, just like scramble in the box.
Scramble, and those are, I consider those half chances.
Yeah.
There was a couple of those type of opportunities that we should have scored the third goal and killed the game. That would have really frustrated me. So overall, I thought I'll take the win. I mean, there's times. I mean, you look at the two cup games last year. Porto outplayed Sporting completely, and we lost. This time, I felt that it was pretty even. Um, yes, Sporting had a good run after the 30-minute mark. Um, but that, up until the substitution with Luis Diaz, and then after that, Porto dominated again. So I thought that both teams had their chances, and I forget who said it, but game no marca soft, and that's just how it works. That's soccer for you.
Yeah, agreed. And Nando, as you're watching this game unfold, so we're starting off in the second half 1-1, like 6 chances for Sporting. They don't score. Porto gets, a good chance off a corner, scores, then has their own flurry of chances, only for Kawats to hit the crossbar in like the 85th minute. That was really the last real good chance that they had. Did you think that Sporting was going to score?
No, not at all, man. After everything Sporting has put me through in my life, especially the last few years, particularly, no, absolutely not, man. As Sporting started missing some opportunities there in the second half, literally, I said it out loud, man. I was like, Marcus Soft, and my Brazilian girlfriend was like, "What? What are we talking about here? Who's gonna die?" And and that's what happens. You cannot put your team in a position like that. You create the opportunities. You got to bang one in at least. You don't. You give all momentum back to the other team. That's hey, Porto hung in there. They didn't get scored on, and like Bruno just said, especially after Porto scored the second goal, Porto was way closer to the third than Sporting was to the tie, minus Goat's header. And I don't call or ever consider those clear chances at goal because it's a freaking corner kick. It's up there. Anything can happen. So yeah, Porto could have made it 3-1, more so than Sporting could have made it 2-2. Of course, Sporting could have made it 2-1, more so than Porto during those moments. I think that a tie would have been a fair result. If Sporting had won this game, and you had asked me that question, and if everything had played out the way it did, I would have probably still said that a tie would have been the fair result because Porto did more before, after they scored the goal until Sporting started reacting around that 30-minute mark. And I think, this is the kind of game, if we haven't had enough examples already, where, we're left scratching our heads as to why, like, a Pedro Mendes isn't on the bench, or, the lack of bench absolutely kills Sporting. Because, like Bruno just said, when they made that sub and Porto started taking control again there in the last 20 or so minutes, I mean, what did we bring in? A Jose? You know what I mean? Like, what are we going to do with that? We're hoping.
By the way, who just had it? He just put in an absolute. He really outdid himself in this game. The shocker that he put in, and then that ridiculous foul at the end. Then he tries to fight after the game.
Yeah, bro. He
is pathetic, man.
That's the bum he is, and it is what it is. But the fact that we have to sit there, that's my point. The fact that we have to sit there, and Sealers looks at that bench. And I got to blame him to a degree because you have to have some sort of input as to why Pedro Mendes isn't on the bench. But with that being said, you look at that bench. What are you going to bring in? You're not going to bring in a Batalla. You're not winning. You're going to bring in.
Honestly, all of the subs that he did were more aggressive than any subs I've ever seen him make.
He had to be.
He put in Camacho, Plata. I mean, the Hesse sub is the Hesse sub, whatever. Hesse for Blase. Straight swap of bums. Love you, Blase, but you suck. So Plata and Camacho, he put in both the young guys. I mean,
yeah,
I guess it could have been worse.
Bro,
but
he made the Football Manager on PC kind of moves. You know
Same
what I mean?
Sub 79th minute. Double
yeah, exactly. He made the moves that you're sitting there and you're looking at the bench and your team's not doing well and you're like, well, by default, I guess we put in a more of attacking player.
Yeah.
So all in all, I think the better result would have been a tie, given the fact that the game went in spurts, in moments. Porto towards the end, Sporting in the middle, Porto towards the beginning. But hey, Marcus Soft, and especially in games like this, you cannot miss those many opportunities right then at the end. Because I bet you that if Sporting somehow ended up tying that game, Portistas would have been like, nah, man, we can't leave those kinds of opportunities there towards the the last 10 minutes of the game like that.
Yeah, I think on another day this game could have honestly finished either 2-2 or maybe even 3-3. I think both teams had their spells, had their chances. Porto was more clinical, obviously. So again, I'm gonna ask each of you, Bruno, who is your MVP of the match, and your least valuable player of the match? It can be from your own side or from Sporting. Have at it.
Man of the match. I'm going to have to say Wendell. I really thought that Wendell played a terrific game. Again, for the average fan, you probably didn't see what is this guy talking about? What did he do so special? He created a lot of chances in terms of building up from the back, from the midfield forward. Sporting had that, let's call it that 30 minutes of domination because of Wendell and how he created so many unbalances on the Porto midfield and in the back. He started creating a lot more spaces for other players. Bruno Fernandes was heavily marked, and he was somewhat involved in the game still because Wendell was creating imbalances. So you would have to take your eyes off of Bruno Fernandes because this guy was starting to become so influential in the midfield. So I think he was definitely the guy that was probably the man of the match. As for the letdown, I keep on saying it, and I'm going to keep on hitting on him. It's Marcano. That goal should have never happened. He should have read it earlier. He should have started moving more toward the middle since Pep was out of position because he started moving up. And he should have been moving closer into the middle. And he never even read Acuna making that run into the middle. And it's like, I don't understand why this guy continues to start for Porto. It just amazes me. And that's all.
Bruno, what would you say if I told you that in the goal point rankings...
You want Marcano on your team?
No, I don't want Marcano on my team, actually. I would take another center back of yours, but probably not him. What if I told you that based on the goal point rankings for this game, that Wendell earned the lowest score of any of the players that featured in this game, including the substitutes. Actually, some of the substitutes didn't have enough time to generate any statistics, so they didn't register. But so 24 players registered performances in this game, and his score was rated the lowest. What was it that you thought you saw in Wendell's performance so much? So I have some statistics here. I have 0 shots, 1 chance created, 0 dribbles completed, 0 for 2 aerial duels, 2 defensive actions, 3 dribbles allowed, 3 fouls committed.
I really liked his ability to drop and create the imbalance.
I thought that he was. I will be fair to you. I do think that he was having to overcompensate a little bit because Bruno Fernandes did not perform well in this game, and the whole midfield was lost. Doumbia, not a creator. Wendell was. I thought he was wandering, and I thought Bruno Fernandes was wandering too. And the stats reflect that: 4.1 for Wendell, 4.9 for Bruno, which is honestly probably the worst score I've ever seen him get in one of these. And Doumbia 4.9, and he got subbed off, the same score as Bruno Fernandes. I mean, they didn't affect the game enough, in my opinion. Bruno, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I mean, to me, I have to say that the one guy that I felt that had a really good game was Wendell, and then I'll explain to you why. When he started dropping, he was forcing Nakajima to cover 3 different areas. So he would have to move out or drop deep, and then he started noticing that he was dropping deep, so then he would move left and he would move right. And everywhere, and Nakajima's responsibility was to follow him around. That was the adjustment that Sergio Conceição made. And Wendell ran so much in that area that he was creating space. So he would just get the ball. All he would do is just hit a penetrating pass out to the wings mainly, because that's where Ristovski and Acuna, in particular Acuna, started getting very involved in Sporting's attack or build-up. And they just started, and that's where they started to really create a lot of imbalances, all because of Wendell. So again, I view games a little differently than these guys. I don't know what they want from players. Do they want,
I think the things that earn you the most points in these types of things are chances created are huge, and obviously efficiency in doing anything, whether it's crossing, passing. You want
So
your
something in the final third.
Yeah, I mean, and for defenders, consistency, but in terms of defensive things. So 7 duels, 6 wins. That'll get you a good game if you're a defender.
Okay, so going. I mean, this is just perfect because he didn't have to do any of that. All he had to do was just get the ball and just distribute. That was his function. His function was get the ball, distribute to the wings, or distribute and find Bruno Fernandes, or distribute and find Dumbia, and then get the ball back and then distribute outside. And that's all he was doing. He was just distributing, and the penetrating passes that he was hitting, basically to the outside, was creating a lot of imbalances for Porto. And then on top of that, you were forcing Nakajima to run with a chicken like a chicken without a head. And then what also forced Porto to do was Danilo and Uribe basically playing in a 4-2-3-1, and they had to be playing side by side, which Uribe didn't like to do or didn't want to do. Because if you watch the game, Uribe had to do a lot of defensive responsibility. He had to help Danilo because they were creating running lanes or passing lanes through the middle. There was a lot of runs that were being created through the middle, and Uribe had to drop in and had to cut those passing lanes away, and that's where it opened up to the outside. So I thought that was a good tactic by Silas. I don't think that he I mean, I don't know if you guys listen to the Three Cougars podcast, but I've been saying it for quite some time that he was going to be your coach sometime last year. And
I will give Danny credit. Danny's always wanted him. I started liking him after Danny was really vocal about him. But yeah, I mean, fair enough. I honestly, I did want him to be the coach.
I'm not sold on him yet, though.
I'm not completely sold either, but I did, of the options that were on the table at the point of the Kaiser firing, which honestly at this point feels like 10 years ago. Kaiser was the coach of the team this season. I almost don't even believe that. How?
Well, it's been a while, but like I said, I think that this guy, Silas, is definitely the right player or right coach for these players because he's finding how to make them fit into his system, and that is a lot of credit to the coach. Now, I will say this: these are not his players, and once he does get his players, the players that he wants, he's going to be much more dangerous. He's going to be a problem for Porto and Benfica in years to come if the fan base can give him his time. No. And he needs time. In particular this year. This year is year 0. He just has to feel out what he has. He's going to be calling up a lot of these guys from the B team and these juniors and kind of throwing them in there. And in the meantime, you can get rid of that guy Hesse. You can get rid of Bolazi. You can get rid of all these high-paid internationals that you got.
Absolutely. But I'm not sure why they were even here in the first place. Or honestly, I don't think that Kaiser wanted them here in the first place either. So that leaves one man responsible for those fools.
I'll tell you why they came in. In the beginning and around the beginning of August, did you get a lot of sand in or at the end of August? Did you get a lot of sand in your eyes?
Why? From the beach?
That's what. Yeah. That's the expression is the Varandas threw sand in your eyes. Oh, we need to assign some players. Here's some players.
He's some shit.
Yeah, it was. It was on the last day, and he panicked, and that's what he came up with.
I'll jump in and say this, man. I don't think Silas is a bad coach, but I don't think by a long stretch of the imagination he's a coach for Sporting. And I only say that because I'm not trying to come in. I'm not trying to come in with unrealistic goals or expectations for Sporting this year. I had absolutely none. You know what I mean? I just hope that we wouldn't embarrass ourselves. But there's been moments and times where, he does have okay players, at least for the starting lineup. The bench has been crap for a while. And if he wanted to, and I guess what I'm trying to get with this is if he wanted to really assert himself as Sporting and show that he could conduct and develop Sporting in a way that would be fully his identity, then he would take the reins, start making decisions like Pedro Mins and the Platas and the young guys. It took forever to bring in Max at starter, and really just
At least he
show
did it, though. At least he's
he
doing
did.
some
He
of the
did
things,
it. He
though.
did do it to an extent, but he's taken a long time. And this is a prime example. Like Porto Sporting, and we let Pedro Mins play in the sub 23. So we give all the crap to Sporting about not having him properly signed up to start the season. We send him to the Europa League. Okay, he scores a goal there against Ajax, and then he's finally inscrito, and they're like, "Nah, bro, we still got to send you over there to sub 23, bro, because we're only not playing like probably our most important game this year, and try to hopefully keep the season from looking too embarrassing." He has to have a say in that, and if he doesn't have a say in that, then it just shows that he has no balls to stand up to the president, who's already Uma Merdinez. Like that dude's got he's got no power there. He just pretends he does. So that to me showed a lot. It's like, come on, you take the reins, you call the guy in. President doesn't like it. I don't care. Make a big deal about it, whatever. Because if anything, then he can hold that and hold the president accountable. Look, man, I'm trying to use the players that you give me. The players you give me are crap. This is not my team, like Bruno said. So I'm going to go get the players that are at Sporting, didn't cost you anything, and we're going to go from there. So there's things there that have led me to believe that he don't in a way, pulmão for Sporting, or he doesn't have quite the ability, to go out there and go get it. And he's made comments. He's made comments as of late that have really, really bummed me out. When he played at the end of the game against Porto, and I don't want to say this is exactly quoted because I could forget a couple of the words, but he said something along the lines of, if we're going to lose, hopefully we lose like this going forward. First off, you don't.
If you got to just understand what he meant by that. What he was trying to say is the way they played.
Right.
So
but I still think you don't make that comment though. We lost. That's like appealing back to the Sporting administration of years that's got us in this place in the first place, which is very content. Like, epa, mas jogamos bem, né? Sporting played good. Não ganhou, mas não foi mal. Mas quase podia. It's like I spoke to my mom and dad right after the game, and you know what the first thing out of her mouth was? And she doesn't even understand soccer like that. She goes, "O Sporting até jogou bem. Tá bonito." Now get out of here. He's appeasing that fan base. He knows, or I would like to assume that he knows that fan base is going to applaud and be like, "That's right, man. We did kind of play well. Porto's not the almighty." I know what he tried to say, but it comes across to the fan base that is very content with very little result. And the ones that are demanding change and the fiery fans are like, we're tired of this shit. Me in particular, man, it's like, come on, bro. I would have been like, nah, we lost. Sorry, like we tried, but we lost. Like Porto won. Porto did what they had to do. We did not, especially at home. I don't know, man. There's been some very unfortunate comments from him that have led me to kind of like get a little numbed out to his whole thing. I don't know, but that's just how I've been feeling about it.
Fair enough.
It's just that we don't have the luxury, I don't think, and I think a lot of us Sporting fans, especially here at 160, like we've talked about this multiple times, we don't have the luxury of I would probably say that you as a Portista with Sergio Conceição, like the patience probably running thin with Sergio, right, with his decision making and wanting to get the Liga back your way. But from Sporting, like we know we're not going to win the Liga, and we can't sit here and be like, it's next year, right? But what we can hope, because it's free, and what we can hope is that they try their hardest. And I haven't seen them try their hardest with Silas. I've had games where Sporting has been horrible, and these are crap teams. These are not Porto or Benfica, Braga even. And there's been moments where, since he's been there, where he has shown in America for other sports, we call him like a lame duck coach, a lame duck manager, kind of like who knows how long I'm going to be. And that could also be because of, Barandas and other people that have kind of made him feel that way. I don't know.
My opinion on that is, again, you mentioned something that's very key. Oh, well, the players don't seem like they're motivated or whatever. I don't think that comes to coaching. I think that's definitely the players, because I go back to that Bruno Fernandes audio where he said that there's players that don't even want to be here. And then when there's players that are in some place where they don't want to be, they're not going to give their full effort. They don't want to be where they want to be, and they just, they're just half-assing it, going through the motions type of thing. And Sealers is doing. I think he's doing a particularly good job. I mean, you compare the way Sealers Sporting plays versus what Kaiser Sporting was playing, it's night and day. Um, like I said, now he calls up a couple of these U23 guys, and he gets rid of some of those guys like those cancers like Hesse and Bolazi and Dumbia and all these other guys. I think you'll be set straight. The one transfer that I didn't understand you guys made and accepted and whatnot was that Domingos Duarte not being called to this team because he could start over Mathieu or Quats at the moment, and you decided to keep guys that were in mid-30s versus a kid that's well, I mean, unfortunately, he's already exploding in Spain for him. Unfortunately for you, and very fortunate for him.
I don't think he would start over either of them, but I think he'd be at least as equally or probably a better option in a back three than Neto, or as the third choice or the backup center back. Have Neto as a fourth choice center back. I mean, that's pretty good, and then probably lose Matthew next year, anyways. And or he's obviously better than Ilori as well. So yeah, I mean, it's he's not the only one. I mean, Demiral is also starting for Juventus right now, and Sporting profited 3.5 million euros for him. So I mean, that's basically two center backs. They really basically let walk for little profit, and would be nice to have. But obviously, that's starting to get down the rabbit hole. Before we got a little sidetracked there, I just wanted to get Nando your MVP and your LVP of the game, and then we can get into the wrap up here.
Yeah, man, I'll make it pretty quick, but I understood a lot with what Bruno was saying in regards to Wendell. I wouldn't give him the MVP of the game, but I think that he filled in spaces extremely well, and that are things that it's very hard statistically to sit there and aggregate and be like, all right, look at this and look at that. You can't put a number of things like that, but I think he did fill spaces really well, and I think it was one of his better games. But I think the best man and the best players by far Wendell, especially if you look at a lot of those. Take away the goal, okay, because that was already one goal he scored.
Wait, Acuna, you mean?
Yeah, I'm so sorry, Acuna. I'm sorry.
Oh,
yeah, exactly,
okay.
Acuna. And then look at what Acuna did during those 15 minutes that Sporting had their opportunities. Most, I think, except for one cross in from Hristowski, was all that left side. And at some point, that ball looks like it touches Acuna several times. He was determined. He was aggressive. It looked like he could run for miles. And he gave Porto fits in that left side. So I'll definitely give him the player of the match. And then for me, I absolutely hate the dude, which is just that. I don't even care if he was barely in the field. So I'm going to be, stubborn and spiteful. And then, I just hate the fact that he even is part of the club. So, he's an embarrassment. He shouldn't be there. He sucks. He's fat. He's overweight. He can't play soccer. And he's sitting there coming in and then trying to get all aggressive at the end with the very little minutes he's had. Just shows everything you need. If you had watched no game of Sporting this year, then you watch that little interaction and that moment.
It was
him.
4 minutes of regulation
Bro,
and 4 minutes of stoppage time. So there was his yellow, his fight.
Could you do worse? You know what I mean?
No, you really can't.
What are you doing?
I don't get why he's still getting chances.
Dude, and that's again what I like. Is the president being like, we have to justify the fact that we paid to borrow him? Do we? So
I think everyone knows at this point, man.
Fuck me, man.
There's no point. Maybe they can try to get him back. It is January. If they have a chance to return,
it's got to be one of the worst transfer decisions that I've seen in a long time. A club of Portugal make let alone Sporting.
It's. The fact that it's remarkable is because it is more high. There are players that get loaned from random clubs in Brazil, whatever. I mean, Hesse is coming from Real Madrid and PSG. I mean, those are European giants. This player is under contract at PSG next season. He's clearly not. He's good for. I mean, is he even good for like Santa Clara or Stubble? I don't even think he's good enough for that. Like
He's garbage.
he's good for the second division of Spain. I think
He's
that's
good
probably
for like
appropriate.
he's good for like TikTok or some shit.
I think he actually had a good season last year at Betis, but that's
He
a
had
guy.
his moments. He had his moments, but I
He's
mean,
but you know what he reminds me in a way? He reminds me of bro, what was the dude that Porto had that retired to go play guitar or some shit?
he's back.
back.
By the way.
I know he's back. Yeah, exactly.
Osvaldo.
Exactly, Osvaldo. He kind of reminds me of him. Like, all right, bro. Like, we know you can play some football. Like, you have the abilities to. And then it's like he just clicks
He
in.
was like a high profile. They're both like high profile bad boys.
So they got to
Like,
keep
that's
the
the whole thing. It's like the bad boy. That guy Osvaldo he was always getting in trouble, wasn't he? Before Porto, he was in England,
Yeah,
right?
he fought. I think he fought one of his coaches or punched him in the face, and he was smoking cigarettes. And dude, I mean, when we first signed him, I kind of questioned the guy that you in 13 years or in 11 years you had 13 clubs or 12 clubs or something like that. That to me is a red flag. Like, this guy is completely unstable.
yeah.
Yeah, man.
And there's guys that wanted him.
He's too similar to Hesse for comfort.
But the thing is, there was guys that wanted him. Believe it or not, there was Portistas that liked him.
I mean, they bought him, right? He wasn't even on loan. They bought him, right?
Yeah, we bought him. Again, it's just retarded. One of the worst. I think that was one of the worst deals that we've ever made.
Yeah,
I
Hesse is like one of the worst that we've ever made, and there's been a lot. If you want to check out our full team, it's on our Twitter page from a couple of days ago. Worst team of the decade, guys. Before we wrap it up here, is there any final thoughts, loose ends you want to tie up in regards to literally anything, either the game or anything that we discussed earlier? Bruno, I'll let you go first.
No, I thought it was a good game. I mean, Sporting has to keep on fighting. I mean, I know Famalicão is eventually going to completely fall apart somewhere. I would say.
I don't know about that, man. I don't think you can say that with certainty.
I can say it with certainty.
They just signed that guy who was playing in Croatia, the Portuguese outside back today. They've got like the Jorge Mendes express train of random like semi-talented players, man. I'm not going to underestimate them.
Who did they sign today?
Ivo Pinto. He's like
he's an old center back.
And he's like 30. He's not as old as you think. He's 30.
Yeah,
Zagreb, he can still play. He can be useful.
He's from the Porto Academy. Yeah. I don't see how they're going to be able to keep up. I mean, you look at a team like Guimarães that I think that now we're talking about the gameplay wise, I think they're the third best team in Portugal playing soccer. Guimarães. The thing is they can't find the back of the net. If they found the back of the net in some of these games that they lost points, they would probably about 8 or 9 points more than what they have now.
They'd also probably be in the round of this 32 of the Europa League.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. That's actually a very, very good point. No question they would have.
They had so many chances to either at least beat or tie Arsenal. They squandered so many chances in the games against Liège. I think they get 2 points out of 6 games, and they could have had like 12.
Yeah, they were very unfortunate. Let's be honest, they were very unfortunate. But that's how soccer is. Like, you gotta accept it. They just had some bad luck, and there's nothing you could do about it. You know what I'm saying? Nothing you could do.
Hey, man. And Nando, any final thoughts here?
Other than the fact that we're officially out of the second place race, that third place race, like woo, okay. like we're saying, Vitória plays really well. I think that they've had some bad opportunities there because they should, in my opinion, be a lot closer than 5 points back of Sporting. And the season's not over. Just one thing to mention. Well, I don't know how long ago, but Varandas had thrown some shade that Sporting of Marco Silva was doing really poorly at that time of the campeonato or some nonsense like that. Well, Sporting of his Sporting of Varandas right now is even doing worse at this time than Sporting of Marco Silva was doing at that time with Bruno Carvalho president. Of course, this game or this podcast is mostly focused on the Porto Sporting game, but we just finished, what was it? Delivering all of the assinaturas to finally, have Assembleia Geral to try to get those fuckers out of there. So we've got that in motion, right? I think officially today was delivered or something along those lines. And then, in regards to Porto and Benfica, it's still a very tight race. Anything can happen there, 4-point difference. I think from Portuguese's perspective, Sérgio Conceição's stubbornness, like Bruno said, is going to be very, very important to see how he goes about that and his attitude with certain players, and that's going to dictate, in my opinion, whether or not Porto is able to come back and win the league, or if Benfica goes ahead and wins it. Because I'm shocked sometimes at decisions that Sérgio Conceição makes and that ability of his to kind of flip-flop back and forth. But it'll be a good race to the end. There's only 4-point difference, and we'll see how that ends.
I going just based on what you just said there, just to comment. The thing is that the way the league is, and I think a lot of people have not realized, Bruno Lage has 32 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss in 34 games. And we all know how they're winning. And I will still say that Porto has to beat Benfica at home, and they have to rely on Sporting to take points away from Benfica twice to even have a shot at winning the title. And on top of the hope that Porto could beat them and Sporting could beat them twice or take points away from them twice, is you got to hope that you can't lose points, and on top of that, they have to lose somewhere else, which I don't see. I don't see anyone else in Portugal at the moment taking points away from Benfica other than Porto and Sporting. I just don't.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be tough, man. Who was the team that
the only team that I could see is
Guimarães?
Famalicão won't. Braga most definitely won't. Guimarães. Well, I mean, they just had their chance. They played well, right?
I can see
The most recent game,
Benfica.
they lost 1-0. It was respectable though.
I can see them
So
tying a few
another,
times if that.
18
lost.
But that's the thing. They're not going to tie. Look at this weekend. This weekend was a prime example that they should have lost points. And they got bailed out by the officiating. You look at last year against Feirense, against Braga, against Rio Ave. Those were 3 games that they should have lost 6 points, and we would have had a different champion. And they didn't lose because the officiating carried them in the tight spots. It's going to be like this all season long. They're going to struggle. They're going to barely be able to beat these teams, and it happens already this season. And then, you have all the factors of, teams like Marítimo, Braga, Famalicão. Well, not Famalicão, because I think they actually tried, but, Moreirense or some of these other teams that are sold to them, so they sell out to them, and they just open their legs. I know you guys probably don't believe that, but
no, man, I'm not gonna disagree with you, man. I know I'm old enough to know how things work in Portugal, and I'm not gonna disagree with you. And honestly, I'm gonna add that as far as Benfica getting a ride the wave of momentum of outside factors to victory. This is probably the easiest it's set up for them in a while. I mean, they're 4 points clear. Their next closest rivals are like 16 and like 17 points off. I mean, they're already halfway there. I mean, really, all you need to do is keep doing what you've been doing the whole time. I mean, maybe Porto will lose if Porto drops really any points or something like that. Porto loses a game or whatever, and then it's 7. It's probably over at that point. So Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you, man.
Well, the one thing that I will say, Benfica, I don't think is playing particularly well.
No, they've been horrible the past month. They just scraped result after result.
Well, they were
At
improving a
some
little
point, that
bit.
comes
I
back
mean,
to bite you.
yes, the worst was early December. It is a little better now, but I mean, it's still not great.
Right. So I still think that and now they're transferring this guy. They just sold it. They did today.
How? Sold him for profit. Sold him for
Well,
profit.
that I mean that's when you have a guy like George Mins in your corner. He's gonna find someone that's gonna pay, or he's gonna make someone pay that amount of money.
Espanol, those poor fucking bastards, just got forced to pay
Well,
22 million for that bum.
you know what? That's probably a very good club for a guy like Eder. Well, he'll have a successful career. You probably put Hesse on a team like Espanyol, and he'll probably do very well. He's motivated. He's back in his own country. Blah blah blah. He'll probably do very well in a country like that. You put him on Sporting, where he probably didn't want to come to begin with, and this is why he's overweight. All he wants to play his guitar. He doesn't give a shit about anything. All he cares about is being as much of a disruption as possible.
His
So that
barber flies in once a week to give him a haircut.
there you go. There you go.
Fernandes probably pays for it.
I mean, he is paying for it because he's paying 2 million euros to have him on loan.
It's probably one of those deals where if he has to play X amount of dollars or X amount of games, or because they have to pay X amount of dollars if they don't. It's that Barcelona penalty that Barcelona invented that rule when they would loan out players is, hey, you want our player, you have to play him, and if you don't play him, you have to pay us X amount of dollars more.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't be shocked if that's in the contract somewhere because he has seemingly played. I mean, he's sat on the bench a lot, but he's came in a lot of games. He's gotten a couple starts. I mean, he's played well enough for anyone to see that he's not good enough. All right, well, that I think brings us to the end of our show here. Bruno, I appreciate you joining us, man. We appreciate the different perspective from obviously someone from a different club.
Thank you for
It's a
having
cool
me.
thing to mix it up on the podcast, man. No problem. And appreciate you, Nando, as well, man.
Absolutely, Bruno. Thanks for coming by, man.
Next game for Sporting, I know, is this Saturday against Stubble. Bruno, do you know who the next Porto game is? Actually,
We play Friday against Moreirense away, which the last 2 seasons we lost points.
all right. So Mordenus away and Stubble away for Sporting and Porto, respectively. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Those are tough away games.
Yeah, Benfica plays at home against lowly Sportivo das Aves.
Yeah, Benfica's
So
like
first
3-0.
versus
Yeah,
last.
they have 6 points, 2 wins, and 13 losses. No
Oh,
draws.
they're sure all or nothing.
I think that they're probably gonna lose to Benfica. Just a prediction. Just a
You think
prediction.
so?
Well, it could be like a last minute bullshit goal too by Benfica.
2-1.
They're saying that Weigel's going to start.
Might as well. It doesn't matter. Anyone can.
Right? It doesn't.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you next week.